Live. Look at that. I'm live. Oh, look at that. Okay. Hello. Oh, you guys can't see me. You guys are looking at our lovely guest. So I just ruined the big reveal.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Frank. I'm your host. And with me we have Ada K from
Hi.
Twitter. Ada, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am a high school senior. I'm graduating in 14 days, but I'm not counting, I promise. And I guess a couple years ago, before even all the election hype started, I was doing a project for school. We were doing a mock Senate, and I was the only person in the mock Senate who voted for the bill I wrote, which was to defund Planned Parenthood. And this was a freshman in high school. I was the only one. We actually had 105 people because my class was bigger than 100.
Mhm.
So that's when I started realizing I didn't agree with everybody around me.
Mhm.
And I'm here in Minneapolis. It's very liberal. And that was like my first moment. And I was not very informed of my beliefs,
Mhm.
which was now I'm embarrassed about a lot of the stuff that I used to say because I didn't know what I was saying. But over the last few years, I've started writing more, getting involved with the school newspaper, and then as the election for 2016 started to get in gear, I started writing opinions columns.
Okay,
And
okay, all right. So we gotta you're
yeah,
getting into the story.
I
This
talk a
is
lot. I
really,
talk a
yeah.
lot.
No, no, no. Well, I wasn't expecting you to get into the story so soon.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So your name is Ada K. We're going.
Yep.
You're at Ada K
Yep.
on Twitter.
Hmm.
Um, and so you're in high school.
Yes.
I didn't even realize that. Wow. Okay, so
Yep.
you are a senior in high school,
Hmm.
and okay. So I thought that most of the people that I asked were in college, and that's cool. That is awesome that
I
you
do
are.
college classes. I've
Oh,
taken
you do
college class for the
college
last few
classes?
years.
Okay, that's cool. So
Yep.
where are you? Where are you in college?
So I've been going to Normandale Community College, and in the fall, I'm transferring to Hofstra University in New York.
Okay, very cool. New York. So that's where I went. I went. Well, upstate New York. I went to a Bible college there. So where?
Hmm.
Hofstadter,
Hofstra is on Long Island.
Long Island. Okay, very cool. Long Island. All
Hmm.
right, I've spent some time there. Love it. All right. So, and you've done some writing for different political sites you talked about. So what are some of the
Yeah.
sites that you've written for?
Well, I write for my high school newspaper. That's kind of where I first started getting into journalism. And mainly for me, I've loved writing op-ed columns because I love talking about what I think about. Um, I just love talking about myself. I'm not that self-obsessed, but I don't know. And then I've done some work for Hypeline before with Turning Point. And then,
You might want to explain what Hypeline is, because
okay.
not all of my
Yeah.
my viewers would know.
Turning Point USA is an organization that first started getting me involved with politics, and they have a separate what would I call it? They have a program that's different. People can contribute, write different articles, and
Mhm.
I've done a couple different articles for them just about what's been, I think I did a Blue Lives Matter one,
Mhm.
and then I haven't done as much there. And then I recently had some scary experiences with something I wrote for my high school newspaper. And I wrote about that for Lone Conservative with my experiences because I've had police escorts following me at the different schools I go to
Oh wow!
because I've had a stalker. So it's, yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Hypeline. So I've read
Hmm.
a little bit about this stuff. They're a little bit like BuzzFeed, right?
Yep.
They're
Yeah.
like the BuzzFeed on the right, and even if you look at the name Hypeline, it's
Hmm.
pretty clear the
Yeah.
play on words. Um, it's very cool. I think it's awesome what they're doing to get the news out and to get conservative ideas out in that way. So, did you? I don't remember if you said this. Your major. Do you know what major you're going for?
Yeah, I'm actually in a program there where I'm going to graduate in 6 years with my law degree, and I'm going to be double majoring in political science and economics with a minor in journalism.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was before we went live. I was saying this. So my I'm just interested in political philosophy, and as I get onto Twitter and I interact with some of the people from Turning Point USA, a lot of you guys are in law, and a lot of you guys, a lot of law majors, of course, economics and journalism, all different really great majors. But I realized, okay, so there are two weaknesses that I have as far as like what I know. So it's like current events. Like I don't keep up with current events as much as I'd like to.
Mhm.
And then actual law, like what are the actual laws that are in place? Like I'll talk about political philosophy, how the government should run. That's a lot of what I talk about at Frank Talks. But as far as the actual laws that are in place, and I think I said that on a previous Facebook Live session.
Mhm.
You know, that's something that I'm looking to learn more about. I'm trying to take more time to learn about that stuff, and very interesting. And the other thing I mentioned this earlier. I don't know a lot about the who's who in politics, but you were saying you actually know a lot of people who are in politics, who are senators and things like that, right?
Yeah. Well, Minnesota's very democratic, in the fact that we have the highest voter turnout in the
Mhm.
country. People here love to vote. They love politics. They love getting involved, which is great. And so, where I've grown up, one of our senators, Al Franken, graduated from my high school.
Mhm.
And he goes to synagogue right down the street from my house. People on the newspaper with me have dinner with him. Like, he's very involved in our community, and everybody in the community knows him as well.
Yeah.
And we have great voter turnout, which is something I'm so proud of,
Mhm.
because that's one of those things that's always really bugged me. It's like, if people spend all this time complaining about politics and how the government works, but then they don't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And it's like the most basic thing you can do is vote, and we make it really easy to vote here, a little too easy. But that's yeah, we're and we always, everybody comes here for when it comes to campaign season. Everybody's here.
Mhm.
Although we swung we usually go pretty hard blue, but the last few elections it's been getting closer and closer to being split 50-50, but still hard enough blue that especially where I live,
Yeah.
that it's an obvious difference of who will come here.
Yeah. Very cool. So you were telling us about your story. So part of why I'll address the audience now. So part of what I'm doing as this develops, I want to, I started this Frank Listens show to just talk to different people, and it's been a lot of fun. But as I've been doing it, I realized this is a really awesome opportunity to talk to young conservatives and young libertarians, and to put our faces out there and to get them in the spotlight, to show people that there are young conservatives out there, that that there are people out there that care about liberty and that care about America and all these different things. And as I put it with one person I'm trying to schedule with, we're normalizing conservatism. We're normalizing young conservatism. That's a lot of what I want to do here. So I brought Ada Kay on, and Ada was interested in talking about a bit of how she became a conservative, and she started going right into that. So you gotta dial it back. You gotta rewind the clock, and we're gonna go ahead. So you consider yourself a conservative, not a libertarian?
I go back and forth.
Right. That's an interesting thing, and I want to talk about this more at Frank Talks. I do use the term conservative, and I think it's important. I will use the term libertarian from time to time, but a lot of times I've said a lot about libertarianism, so I should probably shut up and let someone else talk. But yeah, it can have different connotations, and a lot of times I find myself disagreeing with libertarians. I feel like sometimes they go too far towards anarchy, but I love them, and they're all my friends, and everyone except for you and Josh that have been on my show. They've been libertarians, and my next interview at 2 is going to be a libertarian. Morgan is a wizard. So I'm really excited about that. I love them. I think that it's cool that we can have commonality, that we believe in liberty, but I think that the difference is how we define liberty. But once again, I'm talking, and this is called Frank Listens. So my friends laughed at me when I decided to call this show Frank Listens. They're like, "Really? You're actually going to listen to people?" Yeah. Well, okay. So tell us about your story. So you consider yourself a conservative, and you're in a very blue state. Tell us about that. Tell us how you came to that.
I think I'm in the most blue district of the most blue state. Like that's the way I feel sometimes. Yeah. So as I was saying before, I wrote the bill for mock Senate to defund Planned Parenthood, and I was the only one who voted for it, and that was a little bit, just broke my heart just a little bit. And from there, I started realizing, like, I got in a couple of like pretty big fights with people because I wasn't very informed about my views. And then I had a discussion with my mom, and I was like, we were talking, and I was like, I realized I didn't know how she felt politically. Like my parents brought me to rallies when I was younger, like when I was to the 2004, was it 2004? Long time ago. Long time ago, they've brought me to different rallies, but I had never. And I realized I didn't know how my mom felt about politics, and I still don't know how she's voted in the last few elections. Like I have no clue. But we talk about politics every single day. And when we were talking, I was like, I don't know why I think these things, but I just know what I think them. And so I started doing a lot of research, and I started reading. I read everything I could. I just inhaled politics for so long, and then as I started my junior year, I joined the newspaper, and I started writing. I wrote an opinions column again. We did this thing called a point counterpoint, and somebody wrote why we should fund Planned Parenthood, and I wrote why we should defund Planned Parenthood. And that's where it started. That was like the birth of me in politics. And that, again, wasn't as well informed as I would like it to be, but that was where I started, and I got a lot of hate from the staff from the newspaper. They were very rude, and I was like, wait, we were friends 2 days ago. What the heck? And it kept going, and then Black Lives Matter started getting more and more press, and I wrote a column about how they were childish. And that's when I received my first official death threat. And it's just gone downhill from there, honestly. For people here have been so nasty and negative. I've never known so many people to be so hateful when the left is often, their biggest thing is they're so kind and inclusive. And here I have never felt included. I've never felt kindness because of my political beliefs. It has been pretty nasty, what people have said. A lot of it, I don't even feel comfortable like saying what they've said because I just didn't know people could be so awful.
Yeah, we should keep this clean. This is a family show.
Yeah, yeah, and and then I started realizing, with the newspaper, we talk a lot about free speech, and that's like been my biggest, what I've been most passionate about since then is like all these people are trying to shut me down and keep me quiet, and that's not okay. Because first of all, I love to talk, so I don't want anybody to tell me to shut up. And then second of all, I'm allowed to say what I want. Yeah. Like I'm allowed to say my political beliefs. Everybody else here does. Why can't I? Just because I'm different doesn't, like that's their whole platform on the left is, be different, but we're still going to accept you unless you're a conservative. And if you're a conservative woman, it's even worse. Yeah. And if you're a conservative woman who openly owns a gun and talks about it, the world is coming to an end here. Yeah. That's at least how they feel. And, through it then, things started to die down last year, and through the summer with the election, it was super fun. I was just on Twitter, I tweet all the time. And I went to YWLS with Turning Point in Dallas.
We did talk about, but yeah, explain it for people that didn't see the last interview.
So it's the Young Women's Leadership Summit. It was 500 conservative women under the age of, I think it was 24. So ages like 16 to 24 who got together, and we, for 3 days in Dallas, and it was awesome. I had just gone through like the most stressful, point in my life with all of this hate, and I felt like I had no friends. Nobody understood me. And then I went to this convention, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone.
You're not alone.
There are other people like me. And I will honestly say, I hate to tell people this, but I honestly, after the first day, I went back to my hotel room and cried for the first like 20 minutes because I was like so relieved that I wasn't crazy because I felt for so long like I was crazy.
Okay, so I had said something about this on Sunday at church. We do this thing called small groups, and I have a group of we have a group of Christians, all my age, college age, college and career age, so like 18 to 24, and they're not all political, but our church does lean pretty conservative. So I think most of the people in the group voted for Trump, but they're not like as hardcore political as I am. But I brought this up, and I brought up we were talking about in the context of church, of the importance of you want to be around people that you disagree with so that you hear other views, and then you want to be around people that you agree with. And there are so many things that does to you psychologically that helps you. And you hit the nail on the head. It was something that I had said on Sunday. You realize you're not alone, and you realize you're not crazy. And that's part of the reason that I want to do this. I want to do this show, and I want to bring more young conservatives and libertarians on. And I'm so thankful for Charlie Kirk and Josh Tifo and all the people at Turning Point, because what they've done is they've connected all of these young conservatives, and they've shown all of us that we're not crazy. That, like, I had a few friends that, like, before Turning Point, I had a few friends that were conservative, and like, it was just a few of us, so we'd hang out or we'd talk from time to time, like very few. But after it was during the leadership conference last year, the women's leadership conference last year, someone was tweeting about it, and I just started connecting with all these people, like all these, and I joked, I said I was going to crash the party because you got 500 young kids. I'm like, man, I'm there, and I would love to go this year. I really would. I'm just so shackled by work right now. It depends on when it is. My boss might actually let me go away for a couple weeks. But then I don't think Josh will let me in the front door, so he knows I'm coming. But it's this thing. We need to remember that we're not alone. We need to remember it's actually if you've ever heard of the term gaslighting, they'll tell you that the cure for gaslighting is to get with other people. If you're having gaslighting is when you have for those of you who are listening who might not understand the concept or might not be familiar with the concept, gaslighting is when you have like a sociopath who is trying to manipulate someone, and they will try and convince that the victim, this person that they're victimizing, that they're not seeing what they think they're seeing. And what they'll tell you is the cure for gaslighting is to get with other people who see the same thing, and you got to talk about it, and you have to keep reminding yourself. We have to be doing this as conservatives, and we have to be encouraging each other. And you also talked about so were you finished with your story? I mean, I don't want to. Okay, so you talked about not knowing what your parents thought politically, and I guess I can see some value of, you don't want to shove your political beliefs down your kids' throats. And I think a lot of the people at Turning Point, I don't know particularly, but I think a lot of them probably would say that they're conservative because, if we got their story, it would probably be pretty short. Like, my parents are conservative and they raised me this way. And it's so important though for parents to talk with their kids and to know how to talk with their kids and not to shove it down their throat. The same thing, like, I think my parents have always leaned pretty conservative. I don't know how, except for, I know how they voted in this past election, but I don't know how they voted in a previous election.
I guess.
And I never knew like what they thought about politics or things like that. So it's so important for I get part of what I'm trying to do here. I'm targeting on Facebook. I'm targeting older conservatives, and I'm trying to connect them with the younger generation. I get people all the time on Facebook and in real life asking me about, how do we connect with this millennial generation? How do we connect with millennials? And this is one of those things. I think so many people, like, they're asking, how do we, my kid is going liberal. How do I connect with them? It's, by talking to them, by connecting with them and doing it in a very non-forceful and very peaceful way. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I had there.
Yeah, I guess my mom, I talk about politics with my mom the most, I think. And I've always had a feeling I know where she leans. And then this last election just kind of threw us for a loop because we're not, both of us were like, wait a second, do we want to consider, at least I don't know, I can't speak for her, but for me, I was like, wait, do I really want to be considering myself a Republican? And I hate using the word Republican because especially here, there's so much negative connotation with saying that you're Republican, that I prefer to say I'm conservative or I lean to the right. I don't like to put the name on it.
Too harsh to say that you're a Republican.
It's harsh, and at the same time, if it automatically here where I live, it'll just shut down any chance of a conversation. They hear Republican and they refuse to have a normal conversation with you. And I think it's so important that we continue to have these normal, peaceful conversations with people that you disagree with.
Yeah.
Because if otherwise, what's gonna end up to this country if the generation that's gonna take over our generation, if we can't even have a conversation with people we disagree with, how is this gonna work out?
Yeah. That's another thing. I want to start having guests on that I disagree with. I would have guests on that I disagree with, so we can talk about differing beliefs. I'm really excited to do that. I just haven't. I've been slow enough, just getting people that I agree with to come on the show. So I just gotta get on the ball there.
Yeah.
But just I'm just saying that for people that are viewing, so you know what's coming down the line. So press the little subscribe button below, and please, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep forgetting that the camera's on you the whole time. Like there were very few times where I switched the camera to me. So it's probably better because you look like my background. Like people keep saying you need to get a library. when I find a book in my house, then I'll get a library. No, I'm kidding. We have books in my house. I just need to. I mean, there's no bookshelf set up where I can put a desk. So. Like I could put it in my room, but like my room's a mess. And
I'm just thankful we decided to paint our kitchen white. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing. Earlier we were talking about is having a peaceful, a calm discussion, not a debate with people. That's like the biggest thing I've been fighting for over the last couple months. With the start of the school year in August. And then as of course the election started to it was nuts here.
Yeah.
And people wouldn't have conversations with me.
Yeah.
They would just yell at me. And I was like, why are you yelling at me? You don't even know what I think yet. You just know you just know where I generally lean, but you're just, I was like, this isn't fair.
All you know is a label. Like they don't even know what you actually believe.
I was like, you need to have a conversation with me, like come on.
Yeah.
And then throughout all this I'm still writing all of these articles. I wrote one that I said I was a very strong never Trumper, and I wrote one about how I was like that, and I got a lot of people that all of a sudden were like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you, because they didn't want me. They were like, as soon as they realized I didn't actually like Trump a lot, they're like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you. And I was like, okay, but I agree with like a lot of what he says, I just don't like him as a person.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, okay, I'm not talking to you again. I was like, okay, thanks. And then election night, I would hear the news was very much like I was not expecting the outcome that I was shocked. I stayed up that entire night and I didn't know what to think. And I still don't even know what to think even now. And which I think that says a lot about what's going on, at least in my opinion. But I recently, a couple months ago, I wrote an article, and it was about it had a little bit to do with the immigration ban, and I had critiqued Trump a little bit in there, but it was very subtle. Like you had to understand what was going on to get it. And it had gone up on a Friday afternoon, and on Friday night I was driving home with my dad from the grocery store, and all of a sudden on Instagram and Twitter, like my DMs were like crazy. I was like, what the heck is going on? There are all these anonymous accounts. I had no idea who they were, And I was like looking, trying to figure out who these people are. And it was like, I don't know if you heard the term Finsta, they're fake Instagrams people make
Okay.
that aren't their real identity. And there's these people, and I'm still guessing they're female. Like, I still don't know who they are. And they were like, you're this awful person. You don't deserve to live. You better watch your back. A bunch of Somalis are coming to jump you. They're like, we know your address. They're like, we know your address. We know where you live. We know your school schedule. We're coming for you. And I was like, what?
But they haven't come for you.
They hadn't. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I've had that before. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then I got to school on Monday, and they actually confronted me. And they came and showed up, and they started, I was having a conversation with this girl, and she's just getting closer and closer to me. And she wasn't caught on any security cameras, which is still really fishy to me. And she was like right here to me, and I was pushed up against the wall, and she's just screaming at me. And I was like, why are you so mad at me? She's like, you're defending Trump. I'm an immigrant. Why do you hate me so much? And I was like, I don't hate you. I just don't think you should be here. Like, let's have a conversation. Like, come on. And she's just screaming at me. And I like pushed away from the wall, and I went straight to the police at the school, and they still don't know who she is.
Yeah.
The school administration has given up. They don't care who she is.
Right. Yeah.
They won't do anything for me. I've had police escorts at the school to help, like, because obviously these people aren't scared of me. They're willing to come and confront me. But the administration of my school has done nothing since then. They do not care what happens. Nothing.
Yeah. Wow.
Which I have been a little bit upset with.
Yeah, but you're gonna be done with that school pretty soon. So yeah, it's good riddance. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we are almost at the end of our time, and that actually went really fast, and it went really well. So, people can find you where?
Find me on Twitter. I'm at Ada Kayye.
Yeah, it's not on the YouTube title for people that
they'll have it in there. I don't actually know my own Twitter handle. I apologize. If you have anything, I love to talk to people. I love to talk, and there's a link about my entire story of what happened if you're curious to find out what happened with this crazy girl.
And she'll even talk to you if you don't agree with her. She's pretty good, and that's the cool thing about being conservative and also being in such a liberal area is that you are you're being tested by fire, and come through on the other side. You're probably going to go to a pretty liberal school, and it's just going to make you a stronger person. So I'm in a pretty conservative area. I went to a conservative school. I did go to like community college for a while and interact with some liberals there. But yeah, I'm so sensitive. So
yeah, you can't be sensitive here. not in Minneapolis. Unless you're liberal, then you could be a sensitive.
Oh yeah, then
we will do anything for you.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on, and
thank you for having me.
I hope you go on. I hope that you do great work, and just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, back at you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.